All right,
Hello. Hi.
here we are. I'm Dr. Kevin.
I'm Dr. Gianna.
We're with the Harmony Center for Whole Being in North Oakland. And today we have Cheyenne here with us, who started Network Spinal Chiropractic care at the Harmony Center about 6 months ago. And since starting, she's experienced some pretty awesome changes. And so we're super excited just to spend this time to hear from you what's changed since starting, where you are now versus where you started, and to share this with other people who may be impacted and can potentially experience some of the same transformations that you've experienced or have more in their own life as well. So thank you again for choosing to do this.
Oh, no problem.
I'd love to hear first for you to just paint a picture. When you first came in here 6 months ago, what was going on for you in yourself and your health and your life that really prompted you to want to get support? Like just kind of paint that picture. What was going on and what was it that you were looking for?
Yeah, so in the fall of 2022, I got Guillain Barre, and basically my cells attacked my nerves, and I got like put in critical care during that time. I was in the hospital for a while they tried to stop the attack from progressing. And then I was kind of left to heal and try and recover from that, rebuild strength, start PT. And then about 6 months later, spring 2023, I got it again, which is kind of like extremely unusual. Guillain Barre is kind of hard to get from a probability perspective. It's not chronic, but every now and then people get some sort of a virus or a flu or something like that, and it turns around the cells that attack viruses and bacteria in your body, and then they attack you. And it happened twice. And I think when I was in the hospital, the doctors, just because of like how rare the situation is in the first instance, they're very much trying to reassure me, like, oh, it's not your fault. Like there's nothing you could have done. It's just insane. It's just improbable. But I think after the second time, I decided to kind of like look at myself and just like try and figure out like what it was that I could do to kind of put myself in a better situation and to not have these extreme health issues happen to me. And as part of that, I started kind of seeking therapy. I'm a lawyer, so my work is very intense and demanding, and I'm often kind of like on call, that sort of thing. So I thought when I started that was like, oh, it's my job, open shut case, like I don't need to work on me. But at the time I had a lot of like feelings of like blaming myself for like what I was experiencing, and then a lot of distrust of my body because I felt like my body had failed me. And it was just like a really challenging negative feedback loop that I was stuck in, and at that point had been for many months. And so anyway, I'm seeking therapy and like trying to work on myself and my relationship to my body. And at some point, the practitioner I was seeing recommended that I try this chiropractic care. She's like, sounds like there's something going on with your nervous system. You should be better by now. I'd seen her for many months, and it did help me to kind of like get in control of my anxiety and all of that. But my body was still kind of weak, and I was still kind of like in this state where like I didn't fully trust that I could travel or do things by myself. I couldn't exercise as I wanted to. I was still in a very limited state. So I was like, I'll try it. I'll try anything, maybe not anything, but there are a lot of things I was open to trying, and this seemed like an easy sell for me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like they work on your nervous system, and like my nervous system's not right. So it seemed like it made sense to me. So I tried it out, and here we are.
Yeah, so this person who was like an angel in your life was like, try network spinal care.
Yeah.
I remember that when you came, and um, so yeah, you had some improvement from the Guillain Barre, but still, it sounds like, yeah, not really trusting your body, not feeling confident you couldn't exercise the way you wanted to. Um, and also when you came in, your strength was low in your muscles. Yeah, and like the
Oh
coordination.
yeah. And I had been in physical therapy at that point for probably a year.
Okay.
And so like the whole time I'm like, oh, I have to get out of this state that I'm in. I can't accept, being stuck like this. I'm young. I don't want to be stuck like this. I have to work on it. So I've been doing physical therapy for many, many months, and it helped, but there's still this kind of like feeling of like I still feel like a sick person. Like, what's going on? Like, how do I address it? And even like attending those therapy sessions, like I would get to a state where I could be like very relaxed. I'm like, oh, that was really great, but it only lasted like a day. Like the next day, I'm like, why don't I feel as good as I did yesterday?
Mm.
Um, so I needed something more, and I was really glad that she kind of thought to recommend this for me.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what started happening, and what's transpired over the last 6 months since you began network spinal care.
Yeah, so I would say pretty early on, I noticed that I had experienced like a boost in energy. I just in generally felt less lethargic, less tired, like a little bit more upbeat. Like as soon as I would leave the session, like I would be like walking different, like, okay, I'm gonna take on the day, or like just kind of like feeling lifted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, where is this? I don't know, this energy, like it was foreign to me. It had been like a year and a half, or in that window since fall 2022, of feeling kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do, but I can't quite break that like glass ceiling of like feeling well. I'm just kind of stuck in this little thing. And then I would leave these sessions feeling like, okay, like I'm feeling restful, but I'm feeling good. And like since that time, I've felt like I could try and like do more like exercise wise. So we still kept doing the PT, but I was like more energetic. Like I'm like, oh, I can do more. I can go longer. It was like very surprising to me. In part because I didn't really know what to expect. Like I kind of understood the like pedagogy of it. We have to process our emotions, release this trapped energy. But I didn't really understand how that worked. And then I went to the sessions, and I would feel these like, I don't know how to describe it, but kind of like a whoosh of like energy kind of like flowing through my like body, which I didn't expect. And I guess it might be kind of hard to describe to somebody, like this is the sensation you might feel. But I felt good, and it was kind of like the platform I needed to kind of turn up the rest of the work I needed to get back to myself. When I was in high school, I was like a hardcore track and field athlete. So to feel like limited in my body in that way, it was just like very unusual. And I kind of had like a competitive spirit, like that kind of a thing. So I really wanted to like get back out there. And I felt like these sessions were really energizing for me. And like, yeah, I'm like running now. Like I enjoy like pushing it, which is something I was afraid to do. And it was like I wanted to work on that. I didn't want to have to feel so limited. And now I'm like, oh, we can push it, and in like a good way. And it's been like kind of like a day and night kind of like change. And that's just like the physical aspect. There's like the mental aspect too, of like learning to be more self-aware or just aware of what's going on in my body. I still work quite a bit, and like now I notice like, I've been working for a while. Like, is my face clenching up? Like, you gotta you should breathe. You should let that go. Okay, I'm feeling good. And I would say like, or maybe like a third thing is even like my relationship to my body, right? Like, it's not this like, oh, I need to distrust my body failed me. The story is more like, oh, I need to be listening. Like, how can I tune in to what my body's trying to tell me so that I can be well? And I've been working on that through, like receiving this care, and it's been like a real journey. And I think there's something on the wall in the office that says something about like the wisdom of your body, like tuning into your body's wisdom. And I feel like I've like really leaned into that, and it's been really beneficial.
Awesome.
Feel touched. Like as you say that, I'm getting like little happenings in my heart.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm really touched too. Yeah, it sounds like the energy required, like on a physiological level in your nervous system to sustain a higher baseline of wellness was what was lacking and depleted. And so the network spinal entrainments are really great at restoring that energy and helping your system find it. And hence the feeling of like, whoa, like I have energy.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all of the things on a physical level start firing better in terms of your muscle coordination and muscle tone and stuff. But it also sounds like a big piece of that was like your available energy to actually do more with your body, and your energy state changed. So your perspective changed as well. When
Right.
your system energy state changes, right? It's like your perspective about your body and the story you were telling about it also shifted. So you were able to like approach the activity in your body and your healing from a different vantage point.
And to add to that, I also heard just like your body functioning on a different level. Like there's more of a self-awareness, a higher baseline of self-awareness, and with that comes increased ability to self-regulate. Like in those moments where you're working too much, and you're like, oh, that self-awareness. Oh man, there's tension going on. Like let's create a moment, give my body a chance to regulate itself to help process, integrate, reset. And then I felt especially touched by the moving from a place of distrust of your body, which I feel is so common in our culture. A lot of the conditioning out there is like not trusting your body, moving to this place of listening, tuning to what your body's actually needing, and trusting more of that wisdom. So yeah, that we get lit up. That's why I said feel touched, because we just feel so passionate about the wisdom of the body and know how impactful it can be when we come into greater connection with it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I've had such a like emotional change with this whole sort of like, I don't know, it's my storyline, right? And like even how I got sick in the first place, like I was doing way too much. I was pushing it way too hard. And if like the body's wisdom is like, I cannot, and I'm gonna shut you down, like being in a place now where I can have some gratitude for that experience is like a remarkable change for me. Yeah. Because I needed that, like, and to be young too, right? So like now I can go on with the rest of my life knowing sometimes you have to let your foot off the gas. Sometimes you got to be careful and care for yourself. Glad to have learned that now than to wait many years.
Totally. What was I know, track and field being like a passion of yours, and I know recently you had like a personal record with your mile. What were you running before? I guess you weren't running at all between the Guillain Barre and seeing us. Had you started running at all before seeing us?
I've been tracking this. There is a physical therapy session at some point in December of 2023.
Mhm.
Where like in those sessions, like my goal was like I want to be able to do a mile. Like I don't care how I do it, but I want to be able to do a mile. And just to give you a sense of like how much impairment I had at the time from like, oh, in high school, I was running like 5:30. I was like, and that wasn't my event. I was a sprinter, but I was like very high performance kind of athlete. And then to get sick, be in PT and being like, I just want to be able to do a mile, like whatever that looks like on the treadmill, that was like 22 minutes.
Mhm.
And now I'm under 8. So, and I feel like 3 minutes of improvement came just in like the last month and a half. So
Wow.
as soon as it came on, it was like, yeah, it's pretty
Ready.
crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. So the most recent record is what was it?
7:59.
59. Awesome.
It's just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take very long, right? As soon as everything came on and my body was just like able to do it. It's like, oh, we're doing this now? Okay.
Yeah.
And just pushing it further and further.
So beautiful. Again, for me, it comes back to the wisdom of our body. Like our body, the wisdom of our body, wisdom of life will intervene in those moments if continuing along our course is not really in service to the whole of who we are. So as soon as we get connected and we integrate more of our wholeness, it's like, okay, let's turn that back on now. It's no longer taking away from our wholeness, but it's a part of our wholeness that wants to shine. Like we're meant to thrive in all the parts of who we are, but sometimes certain parts get a little bit more spotlight than others. So again, the body does its beautiful thing, as uncomfortable as it can be, as dark as it can be at certain times. I really love just hearing you now on the other side, like that there's light now shining into your past. You're able to see it with a different perspective and find gratitude in it, which is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I think in all of this, I think the biggest takeaway is like gratitude is really kind of like the secret cheat code to doing life. And if you can find space and the ability to be grateful wherever you are, then like things kind of start to roll. And yeah, like I didn't know like what to trust about the gratitude, like earlier on, like, okay, like I have downtime, I can be grateful for that. But taking all of this time to then like learn about my body and learn how to care for it and tend to it, like, and then to get to the point where I can be grateful that my body protected me by shutting me down, you know what I mean? It's like it's a real massive like change in perspective for me, but I'm also grateful for that too. So
More to be grateful for. I love it.
yeah.
The last question is, how has this really, how has working with us in this transformational experience you've had benefited others in your life? Like, who has it impacted by you going through this transformation?
I would say definitely like my spouse, like seeing me be energized, having seen me go through a long period of like lack of energy and then to see me recharged and like I'm going to the gym and after that I'm going to Pilates, it's like he's just like, oh my God, like what happened to her? And it's like it's exciting. And then like he started running all this, like, oh, I want to run. And it's like that energy is kind of contagious. And I would even say like some of my coworkers too, right? Like we're all dealing with the same kind of experience, like too much to do, not enough time, not enough downtime, and watching me like create boundaries, learn to enforce the boundaries out of necessity. But, like I'm not in crisis mode anymore, but now I understand the importance of boundaries and maintaining them and becoming like somewhat of a role model in that way and encouraging my peers to take good care of themselves because it's important, and not just have me being, you know, in the space like, oh, that's the right thing to say is take care of yourself, but to myself being embodying it first, and then kind of like sharing that with them. I think some of my peers have really appreciated that too.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Love hearing that. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share with us today about your experience?
Yeah, this is just awesome. Like, I really appreciate the space. It really does feel like a space for self-care and tending to the self, and I really appreciate the work you're all doing.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Happy
that.
to share it with you.
That's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much.